Okay, I think I'm live on YouTube and Twitch. Welcome back. Playing some more Book of Hours today. Got the Sam cam up and trying out some stuff with running Twitch ads, and I have a bot up to warn me when those are going on. Let's see here. Bear with me 1 second, just rearranging some of my windows. Okay. Where did we leave off? So again, this is not my first playthrough of the game, but first time that I'm streaming it. I've chosen to play based on my starting elements as the Symurgist. I suppose I can just read this again real quick to refresh myself. In Ker Adar, I heard the secret gods speak one to another. I thought that would be the end of my journey, but the more I heard, the more I knew I must be missing. I am the librarian of Hush House, and I will find what has been lost. The Symurgist came to Hush House to find a history with the songs that have fallen to silence, but you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with the Birdsong Wisdom. And Memories, the Symurgist. I eavesdropped on the songs of the Aviform Hours. I had heard the warnings. I'd lose my mind, my soul, my skin. All those things are true, but no one ever warns you what happens if you get away with it, which is to say, after that, there just doesn't seem to be anything worth hearing, anything else worth hearing. So we've studied our journal and gained access to a couple of skills: rhyme and remembrance, to speak with the dead, to torment the living, to celebrate both, and sky stories, the nine winds gossip, and sometimes we can listen. So both of these, so it gives us a spread of 4 different aspects in terms of what we have access to now with skills. They're both able to be committed to Birdsong, but I may wish to wait on that for a little bit. And then we have a couple of lessons, which we could use to level up Rhyme and Remembrance. However, I was referring to my notes in my from my old playthrough, and I'm not sure that this is necessarily where I want to spend these lessons. It'll just kind of depend on what we might need access to in terms of skills for reading additional books. We did catalog a book that was infected with keeper skin, and our core is now Duindratic, so it's maladied. There are a couple of maladies that are not that are potentially useful if you're trying to sort of min-max. This one in particular, I don't think I want to use it for cataloging further books, because I believe this can spread to any book that we catalog with it, or at least some subset of them. So we may look to actually cure this malady if we get a chance to. We would need 5 moth for that. We have 2 from our tryst, and the rest right now would have to come from restoratives. However, we do have access to something like the Shinshuk mead here, but I'm a little reluctant to use that right away. It, I think, might be more useful, just given the 6 moth aspect, to get us into a room deeper into the house. But if it comes down to it and we really want that core back, we could use this to cure that malady. What I would really be looking for is probably see if we can make our way into the kitchen and some of the supply rooms further beyond to see what we might have access to restorative wise, and then also in the meantime be looking for a book that we might be able to master that would give us a moth skill to get us a little bit more there. Now, I think at the end of my last playthrough I had just unlocked the reading room here, and I don't think I read any of the lore for the room or anything within it, so I'm gonna do that now. The reading room. Visitors were usually permitted this far into the house and no further. In the days when the librarians commanded the services of the fine takers, visitors were sometimes even left unsupervised. We have a new desk here. The book wheel is a DeWolf heirloom, a gift to Ava DeWolf from her admirer, the adept Franklin Bancroft. The desk and lectern are much more recent. Steel plaques on both read, "To Gervinus Van Loren, in gratitude for his assistance in the closing of the winding stairs. E. Abney Hastings, Nocturnal Secretary, 1928. We got a grand reading armchair, Nest Grandly. A moon footstool. A soft gold glimmer in the half-light, and an imposing reading armchair nestle imposingly. Another moon footstool, and a candle, and I think that's about it. Now we have a number of books and some nice shelving to do some organization with. Let's think about... I can let the weather come through, I think. And then we carried a memory hindsight overnight with us. I've carried a memory like a flambeau, safe through the mazes of night. We did get clouds, which not that useful at the moment. If we did have a moth skill, this would be another way to potentially get up to that 5 to cure the core. Then yeah, I've got this book that has keeper skin. Let's put this somewhere. Let's just put it over here for now. That is a book that I would want to read at some point, since it gives a nectar skill, which is nice for gathering, and it has a low nectar mystery, but keeper skin can affect Arab and core, so if we studied it using not one of those, I think we would be fine. Alternatively, we'll need to find a skill that can remove corruption, but that might be a little ways off. As far as other books that we have cataloged so far, we have the 12 Letters on Consequence, which has Moon Mystery. And we're at 3 for that right now. So we're pretty close to being able to read it, but we either need a skill with, or a memory with 2 moon, or I guess we could level up the Rhyme and Remembrance. So I think for today, go ahead and hire Mrs. Kill. Yeah, we'll use the core for that. And we'll go ahead and restore that at the Sweet Bones. And what do we want to use Mrs. Kill for in terms of unlocking? I guess, if nothing else, we can get the Watchman's Tower top floor. Let's see if we can be a little more ambitious than that. So if we use the restored core, we can get her up to 3 heart, 3 grail. Beyond that, I guess that gets us the Weed Choked Garden. Could go up to 4 heart by giving her fruit. Potentially 6 with a memory, which might get us the Reeking Chamber. Let's just talk to her for a bit and see what we get memory-wise, and then I think in the meantime I would like to catalog some more books. Let's start with some of the nocturnal books. Yeah, we'll do one of these. And I think I might actually take Rhyme and Remembrance up to rank 2, especially if we do get a moon or winter memory. We already have a winter memory, actually, the one that we took over. So I think that'll be the next thing that we do, because that'll let us read the 12 letters on consequence. Here we have skeleton songs. Again, I'll read book descriptions once I actually go to master them. Let's go ahead and use our list here. There's always more to learn. Improve this skill to level 2. This will increase its aspects, which will help with crafting and make it suitable for higher branches in the Tree of Wisdoms if you haven't already committed it. Go ahead and talk with Mrs. Kill some more. We've refreshed our card. We did get a 2-heart memory. So, again, if we go ahead and use one of our consumables, we can get her to 6. I don't mind doing that. I feel like these aspects on food are fairly replaceable, especially once we get into the kitchen and we're able to start making food. So I think we'll go ahead and plan for that with skill. And we'll restore the tryst, as that will let us read 12 letters on consequence here. Now, the 60 pence here has to last us through the end of the year, and we're almost to summer. So I think I might want to spend some cycles, you know, making a little money at the Sweet Bones. Go ahead and give her the memory. use some manual labor. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. Yeah, I'm fine with this plan here. One of the things that is nice about the House of Light expansion is just the expansion of cooking. I feel like it feels a lot more comfortable, I guess, using some of the consumables earlier than I previously might have. The sustenance has boosted their aspects appropriately. Now, probably, let's see, this lantern something we can carry? No. Or the memory revelation. So let's talk with her to try to get another potentially useful memory that we might be able to carry overnight. Oh, and yeah, before it gets too late in the day, go ahead and study this book. I can master this mystery. So this was a 4 moon. We are getting 1 from the Tryst, 2 from the leveled up Rhyme and Remembrance, and then 1 from the Clouds. The 12 letters on consequence. Julian Cosley's epistolary treatise on what may come after, addressed to his once friend, Claude Hersault, the mystic and antiquarian. We got a memory regret. Which we will be able to carry over. And may use that to get an introduction to Denzel tomorrow. So yeah, let's just go ahead and unlock the reeking chamber now. The room reeks like a rotting reptile. The curtains ripple restlessly with the watchful presences that Van Loren left behind. Perhaps I can find someone to sing them to sleep. The other thing that we might consider is unlocking Crowcrossed Sands at some point. We might also want to take some walks on the moor. The Mazarine Room. Kitty's pride and the house's joy. Kitty Mazarine was best known for her vocal compositions, but she was a versatile musician, and on winter evenings she'd invite visitors and villagers alike to her recitals. So we have the bust of Kitty Mazarine. This bust is carved from black limestone. We have some instruments, a sunset harp. We have been a string and a harp, disguised for 9 years in water in the foam of the sea, the battle of the trees. Quivering double bass, the better it gets, the fewer of us know it, Ray Brown. Grand piano. Simplicity is the final achievement. After one has played a vast quantity of notes and more notes, it is simplicity that emerges as the crowning reward of art. Friedrich Chopin. I'm sure I mispronounced that. Then we have a hollow drum. Celebrate the God of joy with your own joy. The back. I think that's it for the contents of that room. And then the next one along the way is the Rose Haunted Hall. We'll go ahead and work some more. So for Denzel, we'll need... Actually, I think Mrs. Kill can introduce us to Denzel without any need for exalting with a memory. Let's not forget to carry this over. And Moon, a culmination. I've mastered this and gathered the lessons it concealed. By the time he wrote these letters, Cosley was identified with the Monero political worms movement and Hersalt with the birds, meaning roughly that Hersalt held the order of the hours to be desirable and Cosley held it to be oppressive. Many of Cosley's arguments about consequence and finality are couched in erudite and practical alchemical terms. Others appear to be thinly veiled threats directed at Hersalt. Sometimes, some are both. So, there we got a memory, regret, and a lesson on putrefactions and calcinations. So what I like to do once I've mastered a book is put it on a shelf and label the associated memory that it generates. So now if we ever need a memory of regret on demand, we can reread this book and generate one. And we'll go ahead and learn putrefactions and calcinations. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Putrefactions and calcinations. Death altars, snow endures, Solomon Husher. 2 winter, 1 moon, so the same as Rhyme and Remembrance is. And it can be committed to Ithistry or Skolokosophy. Putrefactions and calcinations may even be one that we want to level up. It's got a few it's like quite a it's good for inks. Okay. Carry the memory over, and we have a sunny day. So, thinking about forge aspect. We have 1 from a memory. I think Denzel provides 2. The T would be 2. We would be 1 shy of the ruined kitchen. Doing an early committal to the tree doesn't really buy us anything there in terms of forge. Well, at 4, we can just go up the Grand Ascent. We could also get into the Long Tower's 2nd floor. A couple options here. Let's start by recruiting Mrs. Kill. And I don't have an immediate use for my other elements, so we'll go ahead and make some money with the whist. Oh, and that is the changing of the season. We have a gift from Dr. Blackwood, a package from Dr. Serena Blackwood, who once also served as librarian here. Librarian, I remember very well how remote Brankrug is from the world. In Alexandria, I have both a telegraph office and more company than I can easily stand. You will, I think, make better use of this than I. Best wishes, Serena. And then we're going to be drawing a new incident here. What's happened in the world beyond Brankrug? What visitors will the season bring? a mutual acquaintance will introduce me to Denzel the Smith, I might get 6 or even 10 words out of him if I'm patient. So Serena has sent us a writing case, a sturdy brass-cornered writing case, which has been of use or of service to at least 3 librarians of the house. Use your writing case and a desk with ink to invite visitors to a salon. To invite villagers, add your writing case as a discussion subject when you visit them in Brandkrook. And gives us Serena's address, Cecil Hotel, Alexandria. Go ahead and stick the writing case. Get over here for now, as well as our journal. I'll probably move those later. I may actually wish to use my Trist to catalog a book here. We're gonna get a visitor. It would be helpful to have more of a selection just to make sure that we can match their interest. Denzel is a surprising source of practical advice. The smithy is now available, and we have a memory foresight. Interesting. So that could actually get us into the kitchen. I think we can use the dendritic core for that. Yeah. Let's, with that being the case, let's go ahead and hire Denzel then. And we will need to pour out well, we have a cup already. With the Veiled Goddess Lapsang Sushon. Named for an enigmatic minor deity whose charge is the healing of burns. What do you need? Denzel the blacksmith will lend me his strength for the day. So, yeah, he has 2 edge, 2 forge. We'll go ahead and speak with him right away about the memory. Foresight, should bring him up to 4. And we got a recordings from the Althman Abyss. Now, this is a phonograph record, so we won't be able to use that at a desk. We'll have to find a phonograph for that. And it is also written in Deep Mendaic. So might be a little bit before we get access to that. Go ahead and put it here for now. Now, again, we could be cataloging books with the Dundratic core, but I believe that has a chance to spread its malady. So I don't think I'm going to be doing that just yet. Or perhaps at all. Let's bring back the wrist. And then core or health through for some money at the end, towards the middle end of the day. And speak with Denzel, he might even reply. Go ahead and give him the tea. A nice drop. I can offer my assistant something to drink. And the reason I'm doing that all right away is my talk verb might be, I might want to use that. Although we do get 6 minutes here. So, a visitor interested in a wound. Is there someone en route to Hush House? We have the affair of the open reverend. In a highly specialized clinic in an obscure corner of the capital, specialists study the ecstatic agonies of the case known only as the Open Reverend, who once was the vicar of the parish of St. Agnes, 4th Street. The blessings of St. Agnes of the Fires and St. Agnes of the Shears are ungentle, but St. Agnes of the Threshold may be her coolest aspect. So, visitors with an interest in heart or winter mysteries will want to talk about this. And we have a visitor, Father, is that Stanislav John Schaller, priest, diplomat, gardener, a soft-voiced man with a very steady gaze. As far as unique languages, he understands Crack Track and Fusin. And he's interested in heart and nectar. So we'll see what we can do to help him out. A better place for... We'll move that over here for now. So the only option that we have for him right now is I believe Deoris Book 1. As long as he knows Latin. And I don't think he'll care that it has keeper skin. We'll find out shortly. Conversation with Father Stanislav. Bless you and bless the house you serve. If there's an incident card active, you can discuss it or just leave the slot empty and offer a consultation. Let's hold off on that for 1 second. I want to speak with Denzel some more and see if we can generate a potentially more useful remedy or memory than Memory of Regret. Although with Rhyme and Remembrance, can't use the memory regret in this desk. And we can't use the core in the other two. That's okay. We have other options for looking at what that does. We'd need our whist back, I think. Here's our tryst restored. Let's go ahead and cycle the whist and we'll take a look at... We'll probably end up just using it to get money, but I can find out what the first level of Rhyme and Remembrance does. Or, I mean, I have it written in my notes, but I can show it off. Yet another Memory Foresight, Wit's Forge, and Fire Blast, Meanings Press, and Screw. Coleridge on Don's Poetry. Is this one? So yes, we could take that over, and that's potentially useful. Really kind of hoping to see something with Moth potentially, although actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think we'd be able to use anything in this bed to help with our core. At least not memory-wise. Unless it had overlap. Okay. Let's go ahead and see if Affair of the Open Reverend in... yeah. Read that. Try a book with as much heart mystery as there are heart interest. Oh, okay. That will be a challenge. We do not have any heart books right now. Let's see if we can get access to one. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's nocturnal period after the turn of the century. I guess that is one of the drawbacks about immediately replying to the letter from the trust, is opening the house to visitors when you don't have a wide selection of books to offer can potentially cause you to miss out on helping the first visitor if that's something that you indeed want to do, which I think in this case I would. So with that in mind, go ahead and use our whist actually to catalog another book. So Curia period 1, and then we can probably catalog another if we restore an element. don't think... I guess we can keep talking to Denzel. Fine, it doesn't hurt anything. We just might get a memory that we want more. Okay, this'll work. Lake Fucino recordings. It has 12 heart mystery. Usually you would want to use as low as possible, or as low of a mystery that you have access to consult with one of the visitors. Because their interest will increase each time you help them. It's not the hugest thing, but could matter at some point. Like deep into a playthrough if you are still trying to... I don't know if that caps out at a certain amount. And actually, I'm not even sure that I can use a phonograph for a consultation, but we'll see. We got the berry book. Let's try it, because this might be our only option. Actually... he's here for another 3 minutes and 40 seconds, so that gets us into potentially the first minute of tomorrow. Alright, just trying to think what I might want to unlock tomorrow. Probably start going up the Grand Ascent so we can use Mrs. Kill for that. Kind of wasted our sunny day, but that's alright. Had other stuff come up opportunistically. The foresight memory. Finally, signs of a fire, but it looks as if, fortunately, the chimney breast collapsed before it could spread too far. It can't be why the house was abandoned. In any case, the kitchen will need skilled labor to restore it to a usable state. Go ahead and speed this up a little bit here. And we'll go ahead and catalog another book. Got the Geminad 2. Written in Fucine, 10 Grail. Here we've got the kitchen. King's Luck Pie, a beef pie with pears and cinnamon and secret ingredients, is the traditional dish of the house. It was first cooked, they say, for King Henry, when in great secrecy on St. Piran's Day he came to Cornwall, seeking the king's metal, tin, to restore his alloy. It probably didn't happen, but the pie did. And we got a whole bunch of ingredients in here, as well as a kitchen range. I'll read some of those in a bit. I have an ad break starting in a little bit, about 30 seconds here. I am also going to step away for a minute to use the restroom. So, BRB, and see you in a minute or two. Okay, I am back. Let's take a look. So, we just unlocked the kitchen. We can potentially now get into the Ravaged Foundry. Again, that'll be 6 forge, not too difficult with Denzel and a drink. Then we've got the Wrecked Pantry. In the kitchen, we've got some grapes, some isle water, a hen's egg, some pickled mushrooms, some second flesh assam, a libidic tincture, some honey, some cuckoo honey. We've got kitchen bowls, cake time. That's a heart tool, so that's nice to be aware of. And then we've got some dandelion wine, some lambic, roth, caliente. Sure, I'm not close to the pronunciation there. And then some Schloss Jennings. A serving station as well. Let's read the kitchen range. Servants. It's good luck for the villagers to bring little gifts of food to the librarian. That's already become a tradition, but sometimes the librarian wants a hot meal, and these days the librarian is the only entity in the house that can cook. Okay. So let's head over to the next day, I think. I can keep memory. So I am getting kind of low on funds, and the Ravaged Foundry I don't think is quite a priority for me just this moment. Let's take the Memory Solace. With the intent that we'll probably go up the Grand Ascent. Let's immediately start cataloging some more books. We are really looking for a normal heart book just in case the phonograph record, just in case we're not able to use that. A cloudy day, not too useful. I'll go ahead and I would need my core. We may not get into another room then today. Got Kittling Ripe and the Moldy Warp's Grave and Other Stories. Is Resurgences and Emergences, which may be a moth skill. Yeah, that would be Moth and Grail. And it would take 6 moths to master. And unfortunately we might not be that close to that. But it's one we want to do if we can. We've got the Book of Thrones. There's a 12 edge. That one's quite a ways away. And we've got 7 shards, which is infected with witchworms. Tiny larvae with half-human faces. Fortunately, they rarely develop into their imago state, but even as larvae, their whispering can torment senses and distort thoughts. These can affect your shaft and wrist and spread to nearby objects. so we were lucky there that we cataloged that one with Trist. Where have I been putting the... Oh, right. We'll just put it in the cabin. I don't think I read everything in the cabin, but not that much. A shaving mirror, snip snip. Fractured mirror, cracked and fly specked. Got a basket of clean linens, some dandelion wine. Got a potted dragon tree, a determined spiky little survivor. And online coffee, coffee from beyond the great deserts. Shadowless silk, a variant of the Persian silk tree, golden as the shadowless kings. A honey scar scented candle. Okay. So we struck out on books. So we'll just have to hope that a phonograph record will suffice. The conversation with Father Stanislav. Bless you and bless the house you serve. The poor soul on the open rent. The poor soul used to be my friend. I'm not sure what he is now. I am a gardener before I am a priest, and a priest before I am a healer. I know my limits. Perhaps you can help. Okay, so this does count, it looks like. Everyone chooses their path, but I fear that my friend may have chosen to be a path. Well, if so, I will not walk him. But I know enough now to understand that what he might want. Thank you, librarian. Okay, so good kind of luck out there. We store the core. May still be able to bring Mrs. Kill in and get a room unlocked. Yeah, definitely should be able to. Thinking about skeleton songs. At 4 Grail, I can get 1 from our core. Potentially 2 from a memory. We have Father Stanislav's card. We can use this at a writing desk with our writing case to make note of the address. And a bronze spintria. Occult treasures are purchased using it with occult coin. Spintria. Bronze spintria usually display the act of shaping on their reverse side. So, let me make sure. He knew Fusine and Cracktrack, I believe. Yeah, so that would be useful to bring him in to learn those. Let's go ahead and record his address. Note Father Stanislav's address for what you might call an occult correspondence. Prieur de Capitaines Morbihan. So to invite him, we need 3 nectar from Skills Memory Inc. That makes it pretty enticing to me to upgrade putrefactions and calcinations, because that can generate some inks for us potentially. Okay, but what will come when you do call for them? And we got an occult scrap for recording his address. Secret histories are layered beneath the one we know, like the notes in Rare Wine. The librarian knows this well. So this is a persistent memory. It's an omen. And it has 2 knock, 2 moth, 2 rose. That's interesting. 2, 4. So if we use some honey, does that count as a restorative? I don't believe it does. Trying to remember if there's like a drink or something that we can make. Or if there's a tea that we can brew. Hmm. Alright, we need some kind of skill for this. Alright. There's a number of things we want to do here. I think I do want to level the putrefactions and calcinations, so I'll bring back my Trist. I'll speak with Mrs. Kill about the memory solace. So with just a tool, we can get into the Grand Ascent, so we can use our health for probably just making money. For the kitchen bowls. some manual labor. And I think we can just do this right now. And we'll see if we can generate the useful memory with Mrs. Kill. Okay, that's putrefactions and calcinations at 2. And we've got a memory hindsight. That's good enough for me. And get us into the long tower or 2nd floor using Mr. Kill. Grand Ascent, the 1st floor. The windows are tightly closed, the carpet's surprisingly clean, but my skin prickles at the watchful presence in the stairwell. We will need to placate it before we go higher. And with not much else going on, we'll just go ahead and speed through some of the rest of this day. I do think we have time to cycle an element through. Go ahead and put this record up here. Alright, we have the Grand Ascent, 1st floor. By long traditions, each Brandkrug had their image set in a niche in the Grand Ascent. Later, the Curia of the Isle continued the tradition for their librarians. So we've got the 6th Baron Brandkrug, 7th Baroness Brandkrug, first librarian, 2nd librarian. We also have a potted monstera, a defiant plant. And then we now have potential unlocks of the smoking room and going further up the Grand Ascent. 4 Grail should be quite easy for us. Likewise, 5 Forge is fairly easy with Denzel and the proper memory. Manual labor, and we'll carry forward a memory hindsight. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. Okay. We got rain. So... how do we do this? Well, the problem with trying to read a nectar book, we don't have a desk to do it at just yet. And we would need a skill. Yeah, as much as and this is like this is one of the earlier skills that we might be able to get that for nectar anyway. We could risk it where we start reading it or one off and then hope that it asks us for something that we can provide that additional aspect with. I don't think we're quite that desperate yet. I mean, it's, you know, you kind of rolling the dice on whether or not you succeed. If you don't, you kind of wasted some time. In addition, I think if you try to master a book and fail, you can potentially malady your elements, although I'm not sure if that's just on additional ones or not. So I think we'll just do some more cataloging, more unlocking. The winter would be doable. Let's do an exercise on Grail here. Mrs. Kill with core starts at 3. 5 with the rain. 6 with a glass of lambic. I don't believe we have a Grail tool yet. Oh, we do. The knife provides Grail. We could do 7 Grail for the Rose Haunted room, or the Rose Haunted hall. Does 2 nectar get us anything elsewise? Nothing particularly interesting. I'm kind of tempted to just keep it. Do have another 90-second ad break coming up. I'm gonna think about my next steps, but I won't take any actions during that break. Okay, let's think about this. I might just use the rain as a way to save myself from having to cycle the core. Although we have access to 4 at a baseline between tool. Or no, yeah, that would save having to refresh the core. Itchy ear. Okay, I think I've decided. Gonna get help from Mrs. Kill. In the meantime, I'll use my wish to help with letters at the Sweet Bones. I will talk with Mrs. Kill. She starts with 2 Grail. 5, 6 from Tool, 7 from a drink. Technically like 8. Well, we'll definitely use the rain here. I feel a little like it's maybe a little bit of a waste if we use the rain and don't just go for the harder rune to unlock, because it's trivial to do a 4 Grail room with her. That means we will need to restore our core, but in the meantime we can do the tool. And let me just double check this is our drink option. Yeah. So we can pour out a glass of the lambic. Distilled from apples in the oldest forest of the western continent. Let's go ahead and restore the core. And then as far as our health and this tryst, we should probably catalog some more books. Okay. Give her drink. A nice drop. So we will be going for the rose-haunted hall here. The room is rife with climbing roses, tangled in the lamps, sprawled across the table. The blossoms are a deep, deep red, one of those colors not often seen in waking life, and their perfume makes my head swim. Another of Van Loren's protections, or something else. In any case, it'll be arduous, careful work to clear it. We have Oblations in Iron. It's a 6 winter mystery. We should be pretty close to being able to read that. Yeah, I think we can do that just with skill element and then the knife. So our hindsight would allow us to do that. Go ahead and just talk to her for a memory right now, since we're waiting on that core. And go ahead and restore the whist. Got a memory gossip, a grail, and 2 rose memory. I don't believe that's one we can carry over. Let's talk to her once more. We got a memory satisfaction. That is one that we could potentially carry over. So now we have 2 options for what we can carry over. Let's talk with her about the core. We'll bring her to 7 grail. And we have time to read a book. The memory it generates may go to waste. But I think I'm generally okay with that. We're kind of more limited on what we can do with our elements of the soul than we are necessarily like generating memories at this point. Though if I think about it, like if we need that memory or end up wanting it, it would be nice to do it in a day where we have more access to or more time left in the day to decide what to do with it, rather than having to need it later and have to use up an element of the soul to reread the book. I don't know. It's kind of... I'm fine just getting it out of the way right now when we have our elements and the proper memory available for it. So we'll do it at the Pale Desk. Going to read, and that little sound effect there is discovering that we can craft a bittersweet certainty using our wisp and rhyme and remembrance. And I believe that is just kind of basic memory, maybe one of the slightly more uncommon ones. Like I don't think there are a lot of books that generate that. I think there are maybe some, but we might go ahead and generate one of those at one point, because I don't seem to have it written down. So it would be good to know the aspects on that one. But we are going to read a book here. We're going to read Oblations in Iron. A monster hunting initiate of the hour named the Colonel, who identifies herself as Little Sophia, records the exhibits she has rendered to the Worm Museum in the Mansis. And we'll go ahead and do that. We're not doing anything with our health. We could record a book or make some money, and I think I'll just opt to get a little money here. We're starting to run a little low. Okay, and we can go ahead and get into the Rose Haunted Hall now. I won't bother refreshing an element right now. We won't be able to work with it. We could use it to catalog a book, but I could also just wait for tomorrow. And then we have our memory satisfaction, which we can carry over. And depending on what the Oblations in Iron generates, we might have a small choice there. So this is the refectory. Here the whole curia used to meet, the librarian and the secretaries salvant, vigilant, and enigmatic. Sometimes even the secretary Nuscient, though the duties of that office usually kept him away from the house. But has only ever been one secretary persistent, and she has never liked to eat in company. That was in the good times of the Curia's heyday. In later years, the governor of the jail would sit at one end, the librarian at the other, and the clock would tick away the long silences between their words. It's a Curia period room. Got a Maskwatch clock, reputedly crafted for the Mask of Masks during the Great Writhing. Got a night mirror, an oddly dim mirror. Some tall candlesticks, some vases of lilies. The hatching. Human figures crawl from a clamshell. And a portrait of a behatted lady. The more prominent the headgear, the closer to the glory. And this is, I believe, the first room where we can have a salon. We might serve lunch in the afternoon or supper in the evening. And the next room along is the heart-haunted room. I think we just determined that 7 Grail with a 2 Grail memory is currently our maximum. But it also has the option of heart or moon. With a 2-heart memory, so 4 plus refresh core with Mrs. Kill. She would start at 3, 5 with a memory, 6 with tool. Seven with drink. And 8 with food, potentially. So that's an option. That is an option for the heart-haunted room. But we may just continue up the Grand Ascent otherwise, or go back and unlock some of these as potential options. We'll wait for the Oblations in Iron to finish reading, and then carry over a memory as well. Winter, a conclusion. I have mastered this and gathered the lessons it concealed. Little Sophia has never visited the Worm Museum or even the Mansis in person, and evidently has no desire to do so. She mixes ink, which incorporates the remains of her prey, writes her records in that ink, then burns them before the Colonel's altar. It is essential, however, to permit no drop of the ink thereby obtained to enter any portal of the body, even a break in the barrier of the skin. Should any fragment of the worm remain viable, it might enter thereby, and the hunt's ultimate conclusion be melancholy indeed. So this gives us a memory hindsight, which is 2 winter and 1 scale. Okay. And that gave us a lesson for inks of containment. Go ahead and learn that. And then I think I would rather I don't know, I could go either way here. I think I'd like to just unlock these rooms here. And with that in mind, we can use both Mr. Kill and Mrs. Kill tomorrow to do that. So we'll take the memory hindsight overnight. Inks of containment, the inks in which the histories are preserved. So this has it's another winter moon skill, which isn't the most useful. It can be committed to horomachistry or preservation. Let's just take a quick look. That could potentially get us a medal, which is a little tempting. I just want to consult my notes here real quick. Inks of containment. That does have a number of useful recipes. So, had I known that I was getting that, I might have held off on the putrefactions and calcinations, but you know, either way, heck. Let's see what weather we've got. Sunny weather. I don't think I have an immediate use for. I do want to check out this real quick. So yeah, putrefactions and calcinations can make us Ugal ink, which is fairly useful. We can actually use that to bring Father Schaller back to teach us some languages, which is most definitely worth doing because expanding our access to languages are kind of the skills that we would like to commit to the first ring of the tree. I don't recall exactly where Fusine and Cracktrack can go or what elements they might give us, but that would be a way to potentially make some forward progress in terms of committing to the tree and getting some more elements to work with. So that's very tempting. We can craft that a bit later in the day after we get help from the villagers. Let's bring in Mrs. Kill first, because she can immediately get that corner room, the Watchman's Tower, top floor. And then we can also bring in Mr. Kill. I'm trying to think if there's a reason that I want to right away restore this core. I'm not sure. Yeah, let's use Mrs. Kill right away. Watchman's Tower, top floor. The ceiling bows worryingly under a damp patch. There must be a leak in the observatory. The sun above knows what state it's in. I should seek help and enter carefully. Oh, this might... I might be able to use that sunny weather for something with Sky Stories, potentially. Mr. Kill can always spare a few hours to help a friend. Go ahead and give him the memory hindsight. And with that 4 winter, we can get right into the Long Tower's second floor. As an exercise, let's just think of, now that we have an easy source of a hindsight, we have our whist, we can get him up to 6. The knife is 7. Water, which is a pretty restorable resource once we get to the well, that brings it to 8. So 8 winter rooms should be no problem for us. We might see some of those coming up at some point. For Tristan health, let's wait on this room. If nothing else, we can we could use those to catalog or work. Oh, I should have been doing this. I did want to restore this whist, so we can craft, at least we can craft with it. Mr. Kill, talk with him, generate a memory. Okay, we got the Watchman's Tower Observatory. Thomas de Wolf, second Baron Brandkrug, who they called Baron Silence, built this observatory in 1576. By happy coincidence, just in time to observe the passage of the Great Comet in 1577. So we've got a couple books. Kitty's Armchair. This looks very like the armchair in which Kitty Masserin, second librarian, sat for El Breton's famous group portrait. And we've got the telescope. The scholars of the house watch the course of the stars to determine their pasts and understand their future. I do have another ad break coming up. I am finding the frequency of 90-second ad break every 30 minutes a little distracting. I think in the future I'm going to switch that to 3 minutes, a longer ad break every hour. 3 minutes, for those who don't know, is the minimum amount of ads needed on Twitch to reach the higher tier revenue sharing threshold, so um, it is what it is. It does, even with my low viewer count, it does on VODs and such help to have hit that threshold. It seems to me anyway, as it is bringing in some amount of revenue for me, which is currently one of the very few amounts of revenue that I have coming in. So every little bit helps, and it is encouraging to see that this could potentially be something that I do to supplement my currently non-existent income. So I appreciate the support. I appreciate those of you who would choose to stick around through the ads, and I appreciate your patience. Yeah, but like I said, I think I will switch that to happen only once an hour, and then I can take a break at the same time as well, since it's a little bit of a longer one. Anyway, back to it, and I think I may not go too much longer today, but we'll get through maybe another day of progress at least. So we've just unlocked the telescope here. We've got a number of other books that we can potentially do stuff with. And in the telescope, we can use sky stories, or we can find out what this gets us at least. So we can use this to hit 5. This will generate a wistful air. Let's see. Do I have that one recorded? I don't believe I have that one recorded either. And I'm wondering, I think I was bouncing back and forth between my paper notes and using like a digital spreadsheet essentially, where I was keeping track of some of this stuff. So I think my physical notes are lacking, and that's what I'm currently referencing. So I would like to... It feels like a bit of a waste to generate one of these now. It would just be for the purposes of recording the aspects that it has in my notes, which may be worth it. You know what? Yeah, I've talked myself into it there. So we have this one and the bittersweet certainty. Which I also would be worth recording. I'm going to go ahead and use my Trithst here to do this, because otherwise we're just cataloging a book. Either way, we're kind of, in however you want to look at it, we're sort of gaining knowledge either way. So we're going to find out the aspects on the wistful air. Even if it just, decays overnight, that's fine. So we'll do that. Got a memory foresight from Mr. Kill. Is that useful to me in any way? Graps us away into the smoking room with Denzel, although that's going to cost us 12 shillings. On top of potentially needing a consumable. In which case I would probably just go into the Ravaged Foundry there, because I think there might be a forge tool in there which would make future forge rooms easier, including the smoking room. Yeah, that's reasonable enough to me. So let's go ahead and go into the long tower, second floor. Freezing air, even tendrils of fog drift from the tower top. I should probably seek help from someone who knows the local traditions for dealing with restless spirits. And given that we will be spending some money tomorrow, I'll go ahead and use my health here after our whist is restored to do some manual labor. And then again with our whist, I think we want to... now in this case, I do want to record the aspects of Bittersweet Certainty, but there's a chance that we'll generate one at some point in the future anyway. And I think it's more useful to me to generate a Ugal ink, which I can use to invite Father Schaller back for some language lessons. And I believe we don't specifically need a nectar desk for that, because these bottom two slots are aspectless, and the Ugal ink, we might have to use a health along with it to get to 3 nectar, but we won't have to figure out how to get a memory in there, which might be harder to do. We would need to find a memory, and second, it would need to have some overlap with one of the desks that we currently have access to. So we've crafted a wistful air, let it rise in head and heart. So this is a sound, it's a memory, and it has 2 rose and 2 sky aspect. A half sorrowful music of half pleasant longing. And I'm gonna go ahead and record that in my notebook real quick. Okay. Written that one down. Let's just double check. Yeah, so in our current bed, we can't carry that overnight, so it is probably going to go to waste. But I am okay with that. We learned something. Here we have the Long Tower, Solomon's quarters. Generally reckoned the chilliest room in the house, the Long Tower was usually called the Winter Tower until Julian Cosley, Magus Epistler, reputed Long, dwelt here briefly in the 17th century. Solomon Husher was the second known to sleep in the room. Evidently, they didn't mind the cold. We got the foundation of the sun. Long ago in this country, one did not build a church without first sacrificing a white bull to the sun in rags. Solomon Husher brought this tapestry with him from, well, wherever it was that Solomon came from. We've got a couple of candles, a candle, a couple of books, some aisle water. Oh yeah, there's another candle. And then we've got guest bed Solomon. Julian Cosley and Solomon Husher, both great sages of winter, slept in this bed, although not simultaneously. No one, the story runs, has ever managed a serene night's sleep in it since Okay, so this is a rose, lantern, winter, and heart aspected. Let's see, got some crafting going, some money. What else might we do? So we'd have time to restore an element. Suppose we can do that and just catalog a book here. Get our tryst back. And we've crafted a Ugol ink, a variant of Iron Gall ink, particularly difficult to erase, a minor ink of power. I know I want to use this to invite Father Stanislav. I think I can use it here. We'll need to do that with our health, actually. Yeah. We need the third nectar aspect. Yeah, I'd really like to, I think, restore our core. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to do that. I have thoughts. I know there's another bed up in this area, and I believe it is moth aspected. which would allow us the access to a memory slot. As well as the use of our Tryst to help. So Tryst would be 1. A memory, let's say we're able to generate an impulse somehow, would be 2. Or 3 total. And then yeah, we're still a ways off. We really need a moth skill. A 2-aspect moth skill. So yeah, in that spirit, we'll need to be cataloging lots of books. Okay, so I think for let's look at this book real quick. The Wounds. 18 edge, not reading that one anytime soon. Okay, so if we bring in Denzel, use a few elements to, so we need 1 plus the memory, plus we just give him some drink, and that gets us into the Ravaged Foundry. Okay. Then we can invite Father Stanislav back to learn a language. Yeah, I think that's the plan for tomorrow. For this next day going, and I think that might be the last day that I play through for the moment. So let's bring him in with core. Let's catalog a book with our Tryst. Let's write our invitation. I have enough here to craft a letter inviting Father Stanislav to Brankrug. Cloudy day. Okay, I don't think there's much we can do there. Oh, I forgot to send some money along. Okay, we've got our invitation. I'm gonna mail that. Stamp envelope send. Guess we might as well be working. And then we've got Father Stanislav coming in. We've got Denzel. Work with him there. Have our veiled goddess Lapsang. Cataloged on the winter. That's definitely readable. That'll give us quenchings and quellings. Denzel, a drink of tea. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. We'll go ahead and restore Trist. We got Father Stanislav Jean Schaller. Priest, diplomat, gardener, a soft-voiced man with a very steady gaze. I will talk to Denzel once here to see if we can get something that we can carry over for the next day. Memory hindsight. Definitely carry that over. Is it useful? Potentially. I mean, it gets us into the Grand Ascent just as easy. Actually, probably easier with Mr. Kill than with Mrs. Kill, given our current core situation. So let's keep that then. We'll have Denzel help us with the Ravaged Foundry. This room has not only been abandoned, but vandalized. Someone has smashed the place up and scrawled W signs on the wall in blood and soot. I'll need skilled assistant to return it to use. Skilled assistance. And then we will talk with Father Stanislav about... Do we do this now? Yeah. Tutoring. I can't recall if this will consume, because I think they only need one Spintria. I can't recall if we get change. We'll go ahead and try it just as an experiment. My visitor can teach me the rudiments of the primal language that we rather underwhelmingly call Cracktrack because there is no name for that language in that language. So that'll take 3 minutes. I think I can go ahead and speed up a bit here. Just going to place some of these down over here. I'll catalog one. Journal of Thomas DeWolf. Force Sky should be pretty readable with the right weather. Or potentially a memory, I mean. We have 2 from Sky Stories, 1 from the Astrolabe, and then yeah, I just need 1 from anywhere else. Either memory or element of the soul, but most likely memory. Specifically, probably weather. So we got that. That is pretty readable. But here, I mean, that's more interesting to me to try to read than on the white right now. Although on the white, we don't have to wait for weather. Anyway, we got a couple options there. Opened up the forge now, or the foundry. This room was set aside for metalworking by Hendrik de Wolf. There has always been a smithy in Brandkrug village, but Hendrik wanted to make sure he could have his pistol balls cast and his prisoner's shackles mended, even if the villagers were feeling rebellious. When Ambrose Westcott arrived, he had little use for the shackles and less for pistols. He refurbished the place for his metallurgical experiments. A bad place to be in summer, a good one in winter. So this has a square and a saw, which are some tools, as well as spanners. So we have access to forge tools now that we can give to one of our villagers. We got some boxes of oddities and rarities. We'll want to open some of those eventually. Got some Regensburg balm, Solomon's preparation, which is very nice to have. Can help with some high winter requirement rooms. And then we've got another crafting bench, the foundry. Not too sure that's very useful for us just yet, but it will be at some point. And yeah, let's go ahead and wait on the language tutoring. I'll just cycle a health here. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. I put the money in first, which, dang. Okay, so if you put money into the sweet bones, you can hire temporary help. So it changes as the season changes, and now we have a barber's assistance. The itinerant barbers of the South Country will keep you clean and kempt. Make sure you don't miss out on any news or gossip, and arrange matters so you aren't too troubled by vermin. Snip snip. So unfortunately I did spend quite a bit of money there to request help from a barber. So I think it was just a shilling, but yeah, not what I had meant to do there. I was looking for rest and refreshment. So I'll do that, and we'll see if we can work out what to do with this barber. Moth and Rose. Oh man. Not sure that we have anything terribly accessible with that. Well, we might just write that one off. If we restore our whist next, we might be able to get that in under the wire. Or I suppose I could just guarantee it and restore my whist now and bed. We'll use some water to do that. And then we'll... oh no, that's the problem, right? Our talk verb is occupied. I've bungled the end of this day quite a bit. Yeah. So that whist is not going to do anything. We'll catalog with it, I suppose. I think we're just going to have to accept that we just burned a shilling for nothing there. We'll work with that. Because we now have a minute or so. Okay, cool. He does make change for us. Crack track. I've learned enough of to puzzle out books in this language, though it might be slow going. In the track of beasts, in the convolutions of his own carapace, in egg vein and shell shadow, the many-eyed one found the signs which can be history. So if we look now, crack track can go in preservation or illumination. In preservation would give us a Faust, in illumination it would give us a core. So I'd be a little bit more interested in the Faust. But we can wait until we have a couple more languages to see what might be the best combination. I do have another ad break going. Yeah, 30 minutes on those is just too frequent, I think. But I think it's gonna be close to the end of the stream anyway. I'll kind of summarize in a minute here where we're at. Trying to think if there's any way. So we're right before the 1 minute warning here. Yeah, okay. So just thinking about it, I think there's not really, I don't see a great way to make use of the barber here, considering we have just over a minute left in the day. What I might have liked to do there, if our talk verb hadn't been occupied by a language lesson, we could have, we have our whist coming back in 2 seconds. We could have used the whist plus the memory hindsight plus a tool, but that would take a full minute and 30 seconds of talking to get up to 5 winter to unlock the Grand Ascent. But that's not even something that we're blocked off from. Like, we can do that with any of our followers, and in particular Mr. Kill starts with 2 winters, so not really gaining anything there. It's just I accidentally hired the barber, and was trying to figure out if there's a way to make use of him, and I don't see one. So we have a little bit of an oopsie with our money there. It's not a big deal, it's just a shilling, I think, that it costs to hire that help. That said, we'll go ahead and make use of this whist to just catalog a book here, and we'll carry over the memory hindsight to make use of tomorrow. We can make another Ugal ink and bring Father Schaller back to learn the other language that he can teach us, which is Fusin. And then we have here an Opus Magnum Ceruleum, 14 Lantern Mystery. That's quite a ways off. Put that over here with our other ones that are kind of a ways off. I'll eventually sort those when we get a bit more of this space cleared out, as well as maybe once we get into year. With that said, I think that's probably going to be it for me tonight. If you're watching this back later, thanks for clicking on the VOD, and if you would like to see more of this playthrough or any of the other games that I might stream, feel free to leave me a follow or subscribe over on YouTube. I am usually dual streaming to both, and for future streams I will be adjusting the ad frequency on Twitch, so hopefully it's a little bit less disruptive to both, since I'll probably concurrently take a break with the ad break. That said, yeah, if you have any other thoughts on this playthrough or anything about the stream, feel free to leave me a comment. And with that, thanks for watching, and have a good day, evening, morning, wherever you are.